record, and we're going to get started up, and then we'll get everybody else, integrated as they come along. So welcome everybody to the Showcase follow-up series. We had an event live in Orange County, and we had about 680 people that were, registered for the event. We had a great turnout, and a lot of people were asking us for a follow-up, and they were asking us for recordings. And I actually did record the entire event, but unfortunately the audio quality was not good whatsoever. So Terry and I just kind of put our minds together and we're like, hey, what if we just do a follow-up series? We're bringing all of these awesome speakers, and then we interview them and do it all over again. So I thought it was a phenomenal idea. So hence why we created this. And today I have two amazing individuals that I'm going to be interviewing, asking them questions. And this conversation is all about building teams and culture, building a brokerage, right? So if you consider building a brokerage, or you kind of want to understand the inner workings on how that works, this is going to be a great conversation for you to tune in. Towards the end and during the actual session, feel free to type in questions in the chat. And towards the end, I would say the last 10 minutes, we'll definitely open it up for Q&A, just in case anybody has any questions for these guys. But without further ado, I'll give you guys a little bit of background. Maybe obviously all you guys know Gabriel and Jose. They were both independent brokers prior to EXP, successful independent brokers, and each one of them had roughly about the same agent count. Gabriel had about 40, Jose had about 50 agents when they moved over to EXP, and they were independent and they were doing really well. And then they decided to come over to EXP. Interesting thing is Gabriel was actually the first broker owner that actually joined us here at EXP about 4 years ago. So big round of applause to Gabriel for seeing that opportunity way ahead of everyone else. And so thank you so much. And without further ado, let's get this conversation started. Gabriel, once again, thank you so much for your time. Jose, thank you so much for your time. Legacy Real Estate, Rancho Cucamonga, Gabriel, and Jose with Nueva Real Estate in the city of Whittier and Downey. And let's get this party started up. So just so everybody has an opportunity to get to know you guys, would love to start off by just asking you guys, tell us a little bit more about yourselves, and give us your story, and we'll pick Mr. Jose. Let's start off with you, brother.
First and foremost, thank you, Leo, for providing the platform to give back and contribute. I know you're always doing a lot for our organization and our team, and I appreciate you for constantly finding ways to put great information in front of our team and our agents here in our organization. First and foremost, who hasn't not met me, everybody knows me in the industry as Tapatio. We'll get in the story about that later. So if you ask who's Jose Perez, there's like a million of those. So how do I set myself apart? My nickname from high school, Tapatio. I've been in the real estate industry for about 10 years now. I started doing hard money loans, started doing flips, joint ventures with investors. So I've been in both sides of the real estate side. And then I found myself when I was in the short sale market, trying to look for investments, transitioning over to the retail side of the real estate market. And for me, just posting on social media and helping people get their license, I kind of fell into the office ownership of real estate. And I've been running and building my office for the past 6.5 years now. So I was doing retail sales for about 3 years and then stepped into the leadership. So I've been there, done that, the good, the bad, the ugly, and I've had a lot of experience with different transactions. So whatever I can do to help and support, that's what I'm off for.
Right on. Awesome, brother. Thank you so much for sharing. And Mr. Gabriel Bolanos, same question to you, my friend. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, same. Just want to start off with gratitude for you, Leo, putting it together, for Jose. Love the energy and just all the group that is on here, all the support, and love the collaboration for sure. Been in the real estate industry for 11 years now. The more recent 5 years as a broker, and then with EXP just a little bit under that, about 5 years. But came into real estate from the corporate world. Knew coming into it that I wanted to build a team, not for the sake of being like a top producing agent and putting like a production under me, but really just to set my own stage to build and collaborate. I didn't miss the politics of the corporate world, but I did miss the dynamic of a team and working together and that community. So felt that I can do the same in real estate as I gain the experience. And so that's the reason for the team. Opening up as a brokerage wasn't in the business plan, but I felt that just surrendering to God, the universe, where it was leading us, and the brand kind of went our own space in hopes that we can build a prosperity home philanthropy site, and then eventually got aligned with EXP, and the rest is history, and continue to grow.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. Awesome. So both of you guys kind of said the same. Well, obviously different backgrounds, right? But one thing I picked up that you guys both said alike was that you guys kind of fell into it in a way, right? It wasn't something that you kind of, hey, I want to be a broker today, you know, and like, I want to open up an office. Like, it was something you fell into because of where you were at in your growth. So which leads me to one of my first questions is, when is somebody ready to like take on and say, I want to open up an office? Like, what would you say to that? What piece of advice would you give anybody thinking about it?
Gabriel, you want to go first?
If you want, I'll take it. It was as very similar. It was as planned. The similarity of the business and the suit was, we're just joking that we have the same exact jacket. We went to the same store. So yeah. Yeah. As far as the timing, bro, to open the brokerage, it's an interesting question, because as you're saying, it wasn't necessarily the business plan. Kind of what I mentioned at the event. Like it's known out there that a successful team under a brokerage is a lot more profitable than a successful brokerage as perceived from the outside looking in. But regarding of timing, if that's the plan, similarly to a team, I feel that it's building the community, building the resources, the process and system up front, where the business essentially is asking you to continue to grow and build, and also understanding that the skill set that one would have as a top producing agent in a specific office doesn't always necessarily align like as a managing operating broker. Not that it's impossible, but just really looking at it in a way where there's going to be roles that need to be played, and at the beginning it more likely is going to be us as an individual, but have a plan that we're going to end up hiring and supplementing our talents with others. So as far as the timing, I would say is really building the business to the point where it's essentially natural. It's more organic than forcing. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Love that you said that, brother. Love you said that.
Well said, Gabriel. Now, I don't want people to think that I logged in from different places just so I can show there's different people here. I gave my link to a few of my agents, and I guess that link's making them come up as Jose Perez here. So just change your name, by the way. It's not me on like 4 different computers, guys. I'm not doing that. Okay? Just full disclosure.
I was like, yeah, bro, you want us to give you different angles, huh? Like,
for me, timing is not, you never, for me, I'm going to kind of speak from the heart too. And you have to have the willingness to want to help people, right? And kind of be selfless. And you kind of, just by wanting to help and provide that value and service to individuals, that already puts you in the mindset of starting to be as a broker, because not everybody sets out in the industry to be a real estate broker. I mean, some people say we're crazy for doing that. But the way I landed there is that I really wanted to help people. I really wanted to support people. And also because I was one of the people that came in an industry that people kind of like shined off and didn't really take serious. When I first approached the first person that I wanted to do real estate with, he just took me like, whatever, if you would see my background coming from the hood, no sales skills, you probably would have disregarded me too. So for me, is I didn't want to do that to other individuals. I wanted to be the person, the resource that's going to give them the best shot possible at having success and not be disregarded like I was. So I think that naturally for me wanting to do that evolved into the opportunities that opened up to open up my own office. So it's not necessarily the time, I would say, is the willingness to want to help and sacrifice and develop and invest into people, because you really want to do that, not just because you want to run an office. If you want to just run an office and you don't want to help people, support people, develop people, then you're never going to achieve success with it.
Yeah, 100%. Very well said. Very well said. And then, what I'm getting is like, you have to have the willingness to help others, and you have to be outwardly focused, right? That's number one thing. And about supporting. So, I think that the really cool thing is that, again, and I'm taking away, is like, you guys also built it by demand, right? Like, it was something that was like a natural thing that happened for you guys. And by the way, this conversation applies not just for a broker. I really believe that this also applies if you're building a sales team. A sales team is kind of the same, kind of the same domain, right? So I want you guys to pay attention to that from that perspective. If you're also thinking of opening up a team, this would be something else that you're going to get a lot of takeaways from there. So what are like I think we should get to like the stuff that I think people don't necessarily they probably focus on all the benefits of what a team or a brokerage would do, but what are the things and challenges that you wish you knew before? Let's talk about those things.
I'll go first, Gabriel. That's okay with you. For me, it's setting yourself up with the emotions and the mindset behind knowing that people are going to be with you only for a certain period of time, even though you've invested so much into them. Everybody's going to be able to go on their own journey. It's just part of life. It's part of the process. So for me in the beginning, it was very hard to put that emotion aside after you invested so much time into people. So I wish they would have prepared me more kind of emotionally to not be connected to, you get close to these people, you connect with them, but more of like, hey, you're doing it out of you wanting to see them do well, and not because you think that they're going to be with you forever. For me, it was one of those tough things to overcome. Like, hey, I put so much into this person, I invested so much, and now this other person is benefiting from it. You do it because you want to do it, and because you know that you're helping and contributing to them. And I think that was one of the hardest things when I first set out to it, is like, prepare yourself emotionally to have those heartaches happen to you. And that way you could just move on and keep pushing forward, because I used to let a lot of that stuff kind of hold me back and question if I'm doing the right thing or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very well said. Very well said. I definitely think that that's one thing that a lot of people don't know, even as a team, right? People will eventually have their own process and they will move out of the organization. And knowing that, guys, is going to save you guys a lot of pain. So please, that was a huge nugget, right? For those of you that are thinking of building, I've been through that process myself as well. And, it goes back again to having that willingness to be outwardly focused, but also understanding and kind of having that as an expectation that eventually people will naturally cycle out and then do something else, that they're more aligned with, which is totally normal and part of the process. I mean, I'm pretty sure that you guys, I know actually for a fact, you guys just didn't go straight into brokerages. You guys were at other places. And then if you eventually just said, hey, I want to do my own thing. So I'm pretty sure that the people that you were with probably kind of felt the same thing. Like, oh, what's up, dude? Like, you're all, doing your own thing. So very well said. And thank you for sharing that. And Mr. Bolanos, what would you say? What would you add? Things that you wish you knew about building a brokerage / team?
Yes, similar like Jose. It's when you approach it in a sense where you're really truly in a space that you want to help and serve. There's that points where it feels that you want it more than the individual themselves, and we take at face value what they're sharing, or really committed to what they're saying they want to build. And it's not, I don't think it's disingenuous, but a lot of times when we sit with an agent and they share what they want to build, the idea is beautiful. But then when we start talking about what it takes to do what it needs to, what it takes to build what they're saying they want to build, that's that energy of like, I know you could do it, and you overcommit and you're overreaching to make it happen. I think that's one thing that I needed to learn. Same as Jose, you put a lot of time, energy into people, and sometimes, and it's gonna happen, right? Like, people come and it's like, maybe that is the journey where they come, you help, you serve, and they end up building outside of it. What I've learned is there's so many lessons in that as well, where if they end up leaving and just having that conversation of the reasons behind it, because those are lessons that if we don't tap into, we lose out, where the development, the process, the system that we have created throughout the years, some of it is that, right? Asking those questions, and where is the gap that potentially there's a legitimate reason that something is missing in the office and they end up leaving, and how do we fill that gap for the future to learn from it? one of the reasons that I really love EXP is that regarding them potentially exiting out to build something, it's the way the design is so collaborative, right? Because to your point, when I left my last bigger brokerage, it was nothing against the broker. It was nothing against the organization. It was just really, I felt I wanted to build bigger. And if there was an opportunity, not obviously at that point, not knowing EXP, I would have collaborated and I go, yeah, let's build together. But there was a slight energy of like, man, how can you do this to me? Where it's like, it's not to you, you know, I appreciate you and grateful, but now it's time to build. And with EXP fills that gap, right? Where 100% that we would do it anyway. I know Jose has the same heart where we're going to help and serve anyway if you decide to step away. Now, in this case, there's still that collaboration, that incentive to continue to help. Again, to double back is because we would do that anyway. So the other things that I'll say that learned lessons, honestly, like when we first went into the brokerage, the ins and outs, paperwork and things like that, the intricacies, not necessarily my forte, if you will. So there was a lot of things that I was not aware that needed to happen, you know, but the biggest and heaviest is with the people, you know, the interaction that we make and overcommit, to your point, have that outward kind of energy. And sometimes it's not reciprocated, unfortunately.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, guys. And there was a lot of stuff to unpack there, but I want you guys to just get right that what they decided to do, right, which is the common theme, right? When people want to have that graduation process, the cool thing is that we have a graduation process with our structure, the way that we have it now, which we'll get into that a little bit later in the conversation. Other things that I think would be really important, obviously, to have a successful team or a brokerage, I think structure is extremely important. So what would you say are like must-haves for structure? What are things that you must have that, hey, if you're building a team, this is the infrastructure that you need? What are those must-haves?
I freeze out or is it Leo? Look.
Yeah. I'll jump in.
Am I freezing?
Did I freeze? You were stuck in a pose, Jose.
It froze up over here, my internet. Sorry.
Oh. Got it. Did you guys hear me or no?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was like, it might have been my internet. Sorry about that.
Mine froze up. I didn't hear the last part of you. So Gabriel, take it and I'll follow you.
So the question, to reiterate, right, is actually bring it back to Leo. I kind of was.
Yeah, no, for sure. So basically it's like, what are must-haves? Like, right, if you're building a team or a brokerage, like what are must-have systems? And what sort of structure do you need to have a successful team or brokerage?
God, yeah, thank you. I think processes in themselves, I think the biggest thing is the onboarding. It's interesting because we're just connecting about that, just a solid onboarding process where there is structure when an agent comes in, that they're embraced from the very beginning. They know what the next step is, and then into like sitting down and really at one point or another have a discovery session of what exactly it is that the agent is looking to create within real estate and align to see how we can serve and acknowledge that. Because in our industry, and even outside of our industry, like when people leave a company, many of times, more often than not, it's not necessarily money. It's more so there's no direct step, like what is next in their path, in their career path, right? Like how many of us have sat there and said like, man, I kind of feel stuck. Maybe from another in a gig or even in real estate or in an office, it's just that lack of vision for the next step. So as an organization, when you're building a team, is having a good structure of what is next for the agent and they have something to work towards. I think it's huge. And something that you started off at the Zoom with, and even back when we were in Orange County, the fact that you had Jose and I on stages, I think is the culture. It's a level of culture where it's embraced and embodied, right? Where it's more so like we're doing this together versus like do as I say, not as I do kind of culture, and knowing that we are here to support and collaborate with the agents. The agents that are coming on board and joining up, the majority is that just lack of support and community that end up coming in, you know, for that, if you will.
Love that. So onboarding, proper expectations, setting up a business plan for the agent, right? That way that creates the clarity, and then culture, and then the partnership.
Yeah, I agree with Gabriel. I mean, all of you guys are on the Zoom. If you're looking to, you know, attract people, individuals, onboarding was something that we didn't have prior. We did have some level of onboarding, but from coming to EXP and seeing how other teams and other offices onboard, it showed me like, shit, your onboarding needs to be stepped up, you know? And that's definitely going to be is making sure that your people understand the procedures, the processes, the systems, and everything they have in place, and making sure that you're meeting with them. So what I do now is I meet on a one-on-one basis after we bring them on board and do everything, and then start doing our goal setting, planning, what kind of accountability they're looking for, right? How their structure is, how their schedule is. I want to understand what the schedule they have. And I also want to get the level of commitment from them to make sure that they're committing. I'm going to commit as much as you commit, right? I don't want to commit more than you're committing, right? We were just in San Antonio and they said a saying about when my need for you to get better is greater than your need to get better, that's when we both stop winning. So for me is making sure that I have that same level of commitment to the office, to the vision from that individual, and seeing that their actions are those matching it. And then we commit as much as they do as well. I used to overcommit to certain people that were not committing to themselves. And I found myself wasting a lot of time with individuals that unfortunately don't take the business serious, and they're gone after 2 to 3 months. So for me is making sure that they have their goals set, the commitment level and their schedule, and then making sure that we're giving them A to Z on the onboarding process for them to have best chance of success possible.
Love it, love it, love it. A lot of similarities there as well. And shout out to Miss Pere Rincon in the chat or in the Zoom here, which does phenomenal job of onboarding as well, right? I mean, that's definitely super imperative, guys. And it's just, by the way, this is the exact same process when you're working with the buyer and the seller. How effective you're going to be with the buyer and the seller is how you set expectations, right, with them, right? If you're setting the proper expectations, you're leading them to next steps. So you guys can start to see the similarities, right? It's all in alignment with the same sort of things. So let's now, obviously you guys built organizations that were similar in size, 40 to 50 agents as an independent. And then obviously you guys have grown beyond that now. But what were the things, right? Because I'm pretty sure people are like, how do you even recruit that many people, right? What would you say is like your recruiting process? Like what did you do to attract people to your company?
Gabriel, you want to go? I should go. Do I take this one first?
Yeah, go for it.
So for me is, you're always going to attract people with the energy that you're putting out, right? You're going to attract people that like you, that see that they say people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, but you're not going to really be able to portray that in your, just from them not meeting you, right? So for me is my Instagram, my social media, I don't have them separate. I do have a company, one for Nueva itself, but I wanted people to know me for me, and this is who I am, showing my family, showing me out there wanting to truly help, me being genuine about wanting to help, and me investing in new agents. I'm huge in, I don't have agents that I recruited that were already producing at a high level. I'm pretty much breeding those individuals from my office. So for me is first attracting them by being a genuine individual that's showing them that you really want to help and support and help them build. I think that's the first step is people are going to be attracted by the level of service that you're actually giving out there. And they know that it's genuine. If you're faking it, you're going to have a really hard time attracting and building people. Don't be an asshole. Don't be a dick, right? First thing, don't be a jerk. Right? It's very hard for you to attract people being that type of person. Although you might attract other assholes into your organization, and if that's what you want to build, that's on you, right? So for me, exactly. Really want to help, and I think that's the first step is, okay, I'm attracting. So your first group of people, you're going to attract them by the production and your character as an individual. To get them to the next step is you need to make sure that you have the leadership skills to be able to take them to the next level. And for me, I was a producing agent before I started running my own office. And I know there's certain people that have, you don't have to be a good producer to be a good coach, or a good coach to be a good producer. For me, it kind of helped me that I was already producing, and I was producing a pretty good amount of deals, because then that helped me kind of get in their shoes, and I was able to lead them to get to where I'm at, and then to get them above that, then I have to point them in the right direction and be okay as a leader to be able to tell them that you don't have all the answers and that you can only get them to this point, and I might direct you in the right place to get you to the next point of your business, right? So it's being genuine and attracting your first group of people, and you're going to learn from those, okay? Because it takes years of time to get to be a good leader, but you won't know unless you make mistakes as an individual to become a good leader, right? So your first group of people might be the first batch of people that you're going to have to learn and grow and build from, okay? So that's, I think that's my thing, is first attract them with you being genuine and somebody that wants to truly help.
Love that. Love that. Attracting, using your platform, being authentic, showcasing yourself, attracting them, and also helping them to build to win, right? And then also leading with value of being a production and character, and then also understanding where they're at and where they want to go, and leadership. So very well said, Mr. Gabriel.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I love what Jose is saying, is pretty much in line with the belief, and also the case study here is that exactly, just being authentic. And I think to this day and I think Leo would attest to, is just super highly agent-centric. Like the conversation of the agent-centric, the agents that are here, because we feel that when you support and love on the agents we have, just by organically, they're going to speak out, they're going to put their energy out, and you start attracting very like-hearted, like-minded individuals. The process might be a little longer, but the foundation will be super solid. But that, to Jose's point, starts with authenticity, right? That this is what you see is what you get. And also just embracing the fact that it's that servant leadership, right? It was interesting, a quick story. My youngest son, which is the more kind of social kid, he says to me one day, he came to the office on a Tuesday, and he's like, hey, Daddy, so like, you're the boss, right? And I said, well, no, we all work together. He's like, yeah, but you're the boss, right? Like, you tell them what to do and they got to do it. And I said, honestly, mijo, I go quite the opposite. And I said, when true leadership is like, you're there to serve. The more people is the more people to serve. And the development of process and systems is to be able to serve even better and more efficiently, right? So it's all about that. And I think when you approach it in that sense, again, like people will see it, will feel it, and then you'll attract that same type of individual when they just continues to expand, right? It's fractal. It'll continue to grow. I think also embracing the fact that coming from a corporate world, like I'm very much still very practical in my mind, but learning the fact that you manage systems and processes and you inspire people. A lot of people think, oh, you manage these people. No, I don't manage anybody. I manage systems and process and do my best to inspire and support our people. And people feel that. And to Jose's point, this is a skill set that can definitely be learned, that you can sit down and really look into. They say like, oh, leadership is in you. Maybe, but I think a lot of it is just is learned. And if you're really truly are open to want to build something and you're genuine, authentic to do so, you 100% can. I do agree with Jose that when you have production, you're coming in as a producer, it does help, because at the beginning you're wearing all hats, as we mentioned earlier. So when they see you doing and you're in the trenches with them, especially given the market that we are now, like they appreciate it, resonates more, right? We're in the front line with them. And it's not you do this and I'm gonna chill back here. It's like we're doing it together, and that in itself, I think, ends up attracting the similar people. So the trick for us, honestly, to be completely transparent, my opportunity has been like how to get it out there without the individuals physically being here and say, look what we're doing, right? Like, and my maybe inability to really leverage social media in the way that a lot of you probably do much better than I do. But I think that's the key, and it's something that we're working on too, to be louder in that sense, put that message out that way.
Love it, bro. You said something that I was trying to take note of. You said manage systems and processes, and what was the last part? Because I wrote it down.
That we manage process and system, we inspire people. Because people say like, oh, I manage people. Well, no, you don't manage people. We manage processes. Because we get into trouble when we face it that way, right? Something goes wrong, is like, you did this, versus something went wrong. Well, let's look at the system and the process. What was the gap? What was missing that ended up causing this? There's a times where we have the wrong people in the wrong place or the right people in the wrong seat, but starting off with the system the process before the people, because not all of us, I don't think anybody wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to screw up today, right? So there's something,
I love that. I love that. I wrote that down. I manage.
Yeah, it's an evolving thing, and you're gonna go through it by making those mistakes.
Oh, for sure.
There's a saying that says you don't build a company, you build the people in the company, and those people build the company, right? So for me is that I'm not here to build a company. I'm not here to build a brokerage. I think that was my outlook of when I came into this business. Let me see how many people I can actually help and get them into a position where they can change their family's legacies, because that's the vehicle that we have, right? And it's us to us. Like, we have a huge responsibility with these individuals that are entrusting their real estate career with us. And we got to take it that serious, because they decided that they wanted to start their career in the business with you. So you guys are in the front line. Know that that's the responsibility that you carry. You carry these people's livelihoods, the legacies, their mindset, the way of thinking in your hands. And it's a huge responsibility as an individual to take on, because you are responsible for their livelihood. And for me, it's seeing it in that way is what can I do to pour onto this person some more.
Amen.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you for sharing that. Which leads me kind of like, I think it's kind of in combination with what you guys are sharing. I really believe that culture is the glue. So how do you build an effective culture? And you've shared a couple of them, but what are the kind of things that you guys do that are like, yeah, this is attributed immensely to my culture?
I mean, for me, I'll start with my sales rallies, right? I used to do weekly and I do once a month, but I always start with attitude of gratitude. First, we do our affirmation, right? That's our culture. We have our own personal office. I'm a powerful listing agent. I do business morally and ethically. I serve my clients with honesty and respect. In return, I'll accomplish all my goals. That alone, affirmation and division, is what starts that culture. Is like, what do you truly believe in? What are you here for? Well, we're here to serve our clients with honesty and respect, and here to build powerful listing agents, And I touch on powerful listing agents because that the buyer side is always going to be good if you're a strong listing agent, right? And then is, having the team nights, making sure that you have people with a positive mindset. There's people that are, they say one apple can spoil the whole bunch, and that's true. And it's making sure that you can tell who that person is early on, so you can make sure that they don't mess up your culture. And it's going to happen, certain people show you they're a certain way and they start acting a certain way after that. And you have to be okay with having those uncomfortable conversations. In order to conserve a good culture, you need to make sure you have good people that support that culture, right? And it's about having that foundation of removing individuals that are not going to serve your culture and that don't share the same vision. And that's okay. Not everybody is going to share your vision. They're not going to want to jump on the boat, and feel free to stop in the next exit and let them out. Let them get off the bus, right? So for me, that's how we conserve the culture, is building those good foundations, affirmations, attitude of gratitude, the vision of the company, and making sure that we're treating them as family and really caring for them. And I think that's what starts creating the culture. And it could change. It could change. And you need to make sure that you're able to catch it changing, so then you can correct it,
Love that, brother.
Thank
you so much for sharing that. Yeah, that totally does. Mr. Bolanos, what would you like to add? You're on mute, buddy. You're all like, he stole all my answers.
Yeah, I was just saying,
And that's why I'm going first, bro, because you're taking some of mine.
My bad, bro. It's just so aligned. But similar, right? It's just like really embracing the agents, and again, agent-centric, same. Our sales trainings are very, very intentional. We do still do weekly sales trainings. Once a month is like an agent celebration, right? To acknowledge the wins in the office, the listings, the open escrows, the closed escrows. And the other Tuesdays, we recently shifted to this to really bring as much value as possible to the agent, so they can really grasp and embrace what is being presented in the sales training to instill in their business like right away, right? So it's, again, very agent-centric. A lot of what we love to do, and it helps the collective, is really empowering the agents, a lot of the sales trainings are led by our top agents, whether it be open houses, whether it be listing presentations, buyer presentations, a follow-up, their skill set in their with like how to work their database. And what that does is really empowers them to step into like, yeah, you are a leader, and then we're gonna like treat you as such. And at the same time, it shows the other agents like, that's cool, like I'm being acknowledged. You know, it helps the collective, and it really helps finding the who, because when you focus on finding the who, the how will take care of itself, right? And so it's really finding those players. And then to Jose's point is really, again, like having that culture that is very much instilled in what's happening, and then a constant innovation, because to maintain and sustain a culture throughout the year, the same with the changing market, you know, it could be it's interesting because the idea, or by design, we're bringing more agents. So it's influx of agents, different circumstances, different personalities, different approaches, points of views. So it's got to be a constant message, but delivered in like different innovative ways. So that way it's sustainable for sure. And to his point, the quote unquote, for lack of a better term, the bad apples, they end up, when you're super committed to what the culture is, they end up kind of vetting themselves out. Yeah. They're the odd ones in, or odd ones out, whatever, however you say it. You know, so English is my second language. Sorry, so you know what I'm talking about.
That's all good. I got you. Sí te entendí.
You're uncomfortable because there's so much positivity, and you know, you can't. Them being there negative when everybody is positive is really hard to stay around that type of level. Yeah. So just maintaining that good energy, positive energy, inspiring and supporting them, and then that's true with Gabriel said. They eventually weed themselves out. I just had a little bit of a claim. Not that they were bad agents, but they were just not pushing, not motivated. They didn't see the EXP vision. They were questioning why I make this move. And, you know, as we continue sticking to this and pushing all this in front of them, some of them weathered away and some of them got stronger. And that's the way it is. You're going to, you know, it's a numbers game, right? Even recruiting, you got to recruit and replace because there's always going to be that turnover from the individuals that just don't buy into the vision anymore, and that's okay.
Yeah, 100%. Love it. Awesome, great insights. I took a lot of notes on that. The thing that I will ask you next is, obviously our market shifted, right? We're in a completely different market than we were like 6 to 8 months ago. So what are you doing differently now? What's your messaging, and what are things that you implemented in place, if any, or is everything exactly the same? Like, how did your message change, or your systems change, or anything else? Like, what kind of insights can you offer? What are you telling your agents now?
Yeah, I'll jump on that one, Jose.
Go ahead, Gabriel, take your ideas.
Yeah. Collaboration, bro. Actually, I think a good segue from what we were the question prior. I think authenticity is key also, right? Like when you build that culture is where you're true, right? It's really coming in, and this is what's happening. And so to answer your question, Leo, in this case is that like really like talk about the elephant in the room. Yes, the market's different. 100%. This is where it's at. This is where the rates are. Yes, it's going to take more work to get the similar result 100%. But in a way where and that's the way it's being presented. More recently, actually, we're working on a campaign to really promote that. And going back to the development of culture is that all of leadership stepping forward is like, we're in the trenches. Let's go. Yes, it's going to be an interesting market, and you got to imagine that it's not necessarily going to get any better anytime soon, but that's okay. It's really going into a market where it's more of a normal market if you think about it, if you look back. But yes, we're going to have to work for it now, where before it was just such a blessing that business was just coming. So that, and again, also innovating, what more can I bring to the table to help the agents? What type of trainings, what type of resources, what is it that they need? What type of motivation or inspiration might they need to keep them hyper-focused on doing the things that I know and 100% they know they need to do? Because a lot of us, everybody on here, 100% knows what they need to do. The question sometimes is like, why don't we do it? And so I think us as leadership is being there, and this is probably the reasons behind it, and we're going to support you through that. But to wrap it all up, I would say it's just being super authentic and sincere of what exactly is happening, and we're going to work through this because we're going to be better after this. Like growing through this, we're going to be better because everything's going to be refined. Like if we don't have the business, perfect time to work on your processes, your systems, your SOPs right now. So you come out of it even more powerful. So.
Well said. You're muted, Leo.
Oh, I said very well said. Very well said. And Mr. Tapatio, Gabriel, what about you, bro?
Took a lot of that, bro. I'm kidding. It's true. It's the leadership, the leader, and the message that they're delivering. I'll share a story. Individual came, I guess I'll say, pre-pandemic. I was still independent. This individual was at another office, Keller Williams, and the leadership was telling them, because of the talks, everything that was happening, that he needed to take his goals down. You know, those goals that we've been kind of talking about, you know, maybe you need to start putting them in, you know, cut them in half. So this was the leadership telling this individual, and he was feeling stuck. He was a team leader, feeling stuck and see what direction to take his team. And that conversation from that leader was making him kind of rethink the way he was doing his business and really pushing him to not stretch himself. So when he came to me, I go, why is your leader telling you to freaking back off and back down? I go, you don't know. We don't know. Look, I wish I had a crystal ball, right, to see what the future holds. All we can control is our activity and what we're doing, right? So I told him, listen, this is where you need to step it up the most. You as a leader, your team leader, this is where you need to do more as a leader. You need to put more production, more productivity. Well, they ended up switching, leaving that office, and they came to my office. And that was the best year that individual team had after making that move from Keller Williams to my independent office. And it all started by making sure that I'm planting the seed in the leader that he needs to stretch himself. As a leader, why are you going to tell him, hey, maybe cut down on that, just start doing less of that? No, during these times is when we have to do more. And this is a time when we have to go back to the basics of what's worked, has always worked for real estate. You know, back in the pandemic, like Gabriel said, that was not a normal market. That was when the shift actually happened. When the heck did we have to offer 50 to 100 grand above asking a firstborn child, a blood type, right? It was unheard of. You have all these people doing the appraisal contingencies, buying houses 30, 40 grand above the value they were coming in at. It was a crazy market. So I think right now it's not a shift, it's correcting more to a more natural, more normal market. Yes, interest rates are high, but for me, it's like, this is where you have to put in more work. You have to be in front of more people, right? That's the conversations we're having at our office. We need to be on more appointments. We need to be prospecting more hours. We need to be, look, open houses were taken away from us. And truthfully, they haven't been the same as they were pre-pandemic, but they're starting to make a return now. So now we have this ability to be able to have these. We need to do more open houses, right? So right now, that's what I'm telling the agent is right now is not a time for you to, what good is it going to do us to be listening to all the media and being under a freaking rock scared? Is that going to stop your bills from coming in? No. Is that going to stop the life? No, life is going to continue no matter what. So you're only going to put yourself in a worse situation by not doing the activity and being scared of what's going to happen, as opposed to just, you know what? I'm just going to keep pushing forward. No matter what is going to happen in this industry, all I can control is the people that I talk to, how many people I've put myself in front of. And I know that by doing that, I'm going to get more business. Because why? There's also going to be less competition. There's a lot of realtors that have left the market, right? A lot of us were losing, like I mentioned on stage, is a lot of us skilled agents were losing listings to mensos. For the ones that don't speak Spanish, we're losing people to they were not skilled. They didn't have skilled. They were only getting the listings because, oh, my sobrino just got his license. Here you go, sobrino, right? Here you go. Here's a listing for you. It didn't take skill to get these. So a lot of these people that were just getting business based on the relationship are now gone. So now it's going to take the skillful agent to come and take that business from them. So that's the message that we're pushing right now.
Yeah.
Love it.
Love that.
Love it. All right. One more question before we open it up for Q&A. And I want to know, because I believe you guys are great leaders. And I think leadership is everything. So what are you personally doing to develop yourselves as leaders?
I'll show you right now. Look, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm actually gonna pull it up right here. Look, this is my Audible app, right?
There you go.
Look what's on my Audible app. Let's see.
How successful people lead. John Maxwell.
John Maxwell is awesome.
So what I did is, you get, by the way, this is the best investment you can make. If you're paying $20 for Netflix, you should be paying $14 for Audible, 100%. So that's going to be one nugget I leave my agents and everybody. And look, I even have 11 credits still. But my library is full of leadership, how to lead better, how to become a better leader. And, I had shared on stage that I was going through a little bit of, because we're human, right? We go through those challenges and those mental challenges and questioning if you're going down the right path. And, for me, it's like, what have I not been doing? Well, I wasn't listening or reading books, and I was going through that mental struggle. Well, I got back on the listening, and it puts everything back to perspective, right? Because there's other major leaders that have gone through the same mental battle when you're trying to make that positive impact in other people's lives. It doesn't always work out, and you're going to be let down, but you got to continue pushing forward because of the mission, the vision you have. So for me, I'm investing heavily on learning from other leaders and reading and listening to the books for the leaders. And that's how I'm able to get better.
All right. Love it. All right. Before we go to Gabe, what are your top 3 book recommendations?
For me, is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I'm not going to recommend the third book. I'm going to recommend the audio. It's The Strangest Secret in the World by Earl Nightingale. That put everything into perspective for me when I was 18 years old. That audio is free, is on YouTube. Find the version where the wife starts talking, and it has 2 parts. So there's many out there. They took one off because they got sued or something, copyright. But there's many audios there that have the full version of that, and I recommend it.
Love it. Thank you for sharing. Mr. Gabriel Bolanos, same question to you. What are you doing to develop yourself as a leader?
The biggest thing is surrounding myself with, I think I mentioned on stage about like sharp tools. Surrounding myself with sharp ass tools. I mean, I know I'm not the sharpest tool, and it is really being intentional about that. Like if you're the smartest guy in the room, you gotta take inventory to make sure that we're in a room where we're not necessarily with no ego at all, where there's so much to learn. So I think surrounding yourself with those with leadership and those that are doing what you aim to do effectively. To learn from. The other thing is, like, we've all heard, and we were growing up when they say, like mom would say, like, you're the average of the five people you hang around with the most, right? That bears true. I think cliches as we get older, there's like more truth to them. I'll take it a step further, is like what I think about is I want to make sure that I am somebody's 5, right? So that's only going to happen if I'm very intentional of increasing my value. So their average, whoever is hanging around me, increases also. So a lot of it also is audiobooks. I mean, I do have books that I flip pages. Just in transparency, growing up, my reading comprehension was a challenge for me. It always has been. And then when I found Audible, it was lifesaver. I wish I had Audible growing up because I'm more of an auditory learner than flipping pages, because my mind just goes. I'll read and I come back like, what the heck did I just read? So, but there is value in flipping pages for sure. It'll help your vocabulary and grammar and all that good stuff. But listening to books for sure, it's constantly that with audible.com for sure.
Love it. So
we don't like reading, we like listening.
Listening. I do this.
Yeah.
I do the same thing. I'm huge on Audible and YouTube and auditory as well. So I'm gonna ask you to leave us with 3 books, bro. What are the 3 books for you? Like the top 3 that are absolutely essential.
Start with Why, I would say. Love that book. Leaders Eat Last. Think and Grow Rich for sure, but I will throw in there The Surrender Experiment. It's an absolutely amazing book because there's practicality in it, but it's also about surrendering and just giving what God and the universe has in store for us, but stepping into our responsibility in it. And I love the fact that in that book you read it and you can actually Google the guy, and it's like a real, it's real, you know. So
Surrender, what you said?
Surrender Experiment. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great book. So actually I was going to open up for Q&A, but I had one more last question because I forgot to ask you guys this question. You guys were independent and you guys went to EXP. So talk about like the top 3 reasons of why you guys decided to do that as successful independent brokers.
I think me and Gabriel can share it together because we both were in the independent, as an independent brokerage. For me was resources, more systems, and opening up my agent's seal, right? Because they're seeing certain level of productivity within the office. I want them to see a bigger picture of what's out there and other producers. So open up their mind to more possibilities with those resources, the tools, the training. And that was one of the biggest things. And of course, the liability now, everything falls on us when we're independent brokers. At least now with EXP, you know, they have better procedures than we do.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Yeah, I'll diddle that. The other thing is, like, when I looked at EXP and the fact that it was a complete pun, I was going to say, excuse the pun, but no, it's a pun, like building a true legacy. The fact that as we grow and we grow organically, because that's the way that we were growing originally, is very much organic, where an agent would bring another agent because they enjoy what we were doing. Now it's a win-win, like, for the office itself and that agent, right? So we continue to grow that way. Definitely the resources, man, because I know when Jose was getting to the 40 and 50, and when you're agent centric and you're looking, okay, what else value can you provide? It's limited, right? So when you jump on the EXP platform, where now you have like an abundance of trainings and resources on top of what you're doing, it was just a blessing. And definitely the liability, like the fact that, I mean, we still treat the brokers as a broker. It sounds like Jose does as well. But it's, at the end of the day, is the liability, which allows us, not that we're afraid of that responsibility, but it really allows us to really flow and invest our energy in what really matters, which is the agents.
And I think people will agree also the admin help that we get in the back end. I have my own mega icon team person designated to do all the CDAs for me, do all the making sure they're dealing with the escrows, making sure our agents getting paid fast. As soon as our agents close, they're getting their check either direct deposit or they can pick it up. Before, I had to cut checks, do breakdowns, you know, submit CDA, all this other crap. I don't got to deal with that anymore. I can focus on what I'm strong at, helping the agents.
Yeah, 100%. Focus on all the fun stuff and then leverage the rest. So I think we have like, I mean, if anybody has a question, for both of them, or Jose or Gabriel, this would be an opportunity for you to ask, because I kind of hogged up the whole thing, but just ask your question. I think we got time for one. All right.
Don't be afraid, guys. Unmute yourself. I see Emilio right there. Where you at, Emilio? At the airport again? Any of the Jose Pereses on here want to ask a question?
Come on,
yeah,
Jose.
Exactly.
Jose's this.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Leo, you asked all the great questions.
Yeah, Latoria.
Oh.
And then if you guys want a more, like, you know, if you are looking into building a team or starting an office, aside from the attraction part, is I would suggest I always tell people is scale it. Don't go and get a high monthly lease saying that because you believe in your skill set, you're going to fill this shit up fast. And you have this expense. I started, I don't know how Gabriel did too, but when I started in a $1,700 a month, small, less than 1,000 square feet office with only like 4 private offices. And we literally were doing our trainings with like 15 people in one small little office. That was kind of our training room. And once we were getting the production coming and enough to cover more overhead, then we went and got the building with the 3,500 square feet, right? Then we got the building with the 4,000 square feet. So you got to scale it. Don't go and jump into something too soon, too fast, despite you wanting to believe in your skill set. Start small, keep your overhead light. That's going to help you scale faster and better.
Yep. Very well said. We got about 1 more minute. Any last thoughts from either of you? I mean, just before, I want to say thank you, Gabriel. Thank you, Jose, for your leadership. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for adding massive value. And for everybody listening in, thank you so much also for listening into this conversation, whether it's now live, obviously, or on the replay. But any last closing thought before we conclude? Anything else?
Go ahead, Gabriel.
Yeah, for me, just again, gratitude. Thank you, Leo, the mighty Terry. She's still on here. She's awesome.
Yep.
And then the agents too. Like Latoria that said that you asked amazing questions. We got to get her on some sort of showcase. Like she's absolutely amazing. Like
amazing.
She's awesome. So, but yeah, man, other than that, I would say, I think Jose will kind of diddle this sentiment is if you guys need anything, have any questions or any thoughts or anything that we can do to help or serve the community, you guys individually or whatever, like we're open. I'm 100% open. I know Jose is also. So just again, it's about collaboration and really embracing I'll swing back real quick, kind of what we were saying about the market where it's at. Just do the things that you know works. It's really what it is. Like we're not building anything like we take something that starts too serious. We're not building anything that hasn't been done before, right? So like it's just do the thing that works. How much, how long? Because you probably get this question too, Jose, like how long is it going to take for me to like start getting production? Like I can't give you an answer exact, but it's what you put in, right? But just know that what you're doing is going to work. It's like asking how many healthful meals do I need to eat before I'm healthy? Well, I don't know how many exactly, but I know eating healthful meals will get you healthy. So it's just do the thing that works regardless of the market, put your head down and it's time to just go. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. You just reminded me of that Maxwell quote. Instead of asking how long is it going to take, ask yourself how far can I go? That's a quick little pivot. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're at the top of the hour. Yes, sir.
The last thought is don't compare yourself to anybody else. You're on your own journey. Embrace your journey. It doesn't happen to you, but for you, right? And you grow through it. You grow through it. That's the biggest thing for me is social media has shown us that people want instant gratification. You don't know what they did to get to where they're at. They could have screwed over people. They could have done something to get where they're at. So never compare your journey to somebody else's. Embrace your journey, learn, be a student, and implement everything that you learn.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, guys. We'll get that recording out to everybody. Appreciate all of you. Have a blessed day.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Jose.